Welcome back to OpenLine. We are talking about veterans tonight and some of the challenges that veterans face upon returning home. And we have with us Katie Wells, founder director of Eagle Forward, a program we're talking about, also At Your Side, and Sonia Meneses,
yes.
Meneses, a veteran who has shared a great story tonight. Thank you both for being here. And all right, the last caller, Dawn, a veteran, listed some of the problems she faced. And it frustrates me. I think, aren't there programs there that could help her or could help Sonia? And I guess what you're saying is sometimes they're there, but it's just kind of hard to put it all together. Is that right? Or what about the number of programs out there?
Well, the trend that I've really seen is that the resources are out there, but a lot of times it's a matter of, I call it connecting the dots. And just to give you an example, there's a veteran in my program and he's about to lose his house. He's an injured veteran, and I made probably about 10 phone calls, and it was kind of like you call one place and you find out, okay, well then you need to call, so it's kind of a matter of just navigating this whole, the system of, and so at the end of all those phone calls, I finally did find a resource that could offer, it was like a financial housing assistance grant. So a lot of times it's just a matter of being patient, and I think having another person make the phone calls for you, so that way you don't get frustrated. And
many people don't have that.
Right.
If you're depressed and you have PTSD and you're not fully recovered, you're not going to be making 10 phone calls to save your house, right?
Right.
And that is a huge problem. And so let's talk about the latest program. So you did the At Your Side, and that's where you went to
right.
doctor appointments and that kind of thing. What are you doing now? It has to do with resumes. What is the program you're doing now?
Yes, sir. So I noticed through the At Your Side program, and also during my time at Walter Reed, going to doctor's appointments and counseling patients, I noticed that a lot of veterans, when they are in the middle of receiving their care and recovering, that's when they're the strongest. And then what happens is when they return home to their hometown, they all tell me, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with my free time, and all I'm doing all day long is playing video games. I want to do something else. And so that's when I really discovered that there was a huge need for helping veterans, not only with getting grants, but also with writing a resume. For most of them, it's writing a resume from scratch, helping them with transitioning out and figuring out what they want to do with their life.
What have you found to be the job market?
What I have discovered with veterans is when I first start talking to them about what they want to do next, a lot of them will say, well, I was a police officer in the military, so I think I should just go be a police officer. Or I did logistics, so I should do something with information technology. And then what I keep doing is I keep asking questions, and I'm always so shocked at the answers I get. I've had answers of, well, what I really want to do is I want to go to Colorado and teach other injured veterans how to ski, or oh, I would like to go to Pearl Harbor and work with the park rangers and give tours, or oh, I would like to go and work at a museum. And so my #1 goal is to keep asking veterans questions to figure out, is there something that they've always wanted to do but have never had a chance to do that, and can we make that happen?
That's great. And what did you find, Sonia, when you came back, as far as the job market and putting together a resume and getting back out there? What did you find?
I had an associate's in nursing, and when I come back in combat, I was a gun truck NCO. So it was pretty awkward that when I came out, I just wanted to help people still, even after everything you've seen. And I just decided to go for my bachelor's in nursing and become a nurse, and that's what I went for.
And how is that work? How is the job market for veterans?
It's good. I just want to say it's hard for us because of what we've been through. A lot of people don't want to hire us, I would say. Sometimes we have one or more than 2 tattoos, representing what we've done. And a lot of the employers look at us a little bit different, or we might have a little different attitude, but they need to look at us as, like just a regular person. And we actually, if you think of us, we actually going to be probably a little more hardworking than a regular person, because we're there to do our job and we're excited that we have a job, you know, and we're back to, you'd be amazed to see how many veterans would actually, if you gave us a chance for a job, any job that we apply for, you know, that you probably give us 110% just because you gave us a chance, one, to get out of the house, two, to just be with someone that we talk to, three, you're making some money again on the side, you know, you feel like you're just alive again instead of just trying. It's hard, and plus a lot of people, for example, myself, I was a truck driver. So when I came out the Army, fortunately, I already had school, but not every truck driver is going to have schooling behind them. So all they know is how to drive a truck. When they get out, they don't want to drive a truck. You know, we're done. So, you know, they probably want to just work on something, you know, like probably Walmart, shipping and handling, something, you know, or UPS trucking or something like that. But just because, you know, you put on there, you know, you've done something different, you know, deployment, or yes, you know, you got this, and they look at you, or you see the tattoos in your arms, you know, say United States Army, and like the helmet, you know, or the weapon, remembering the fallen ones, you know, your fallen comrades, and they'll think of you right away, you know, okay, maybe they're not stable enough, but we are stable.
It's interesting you say that you feel like employers sometimes don't want to hire, and there's so much push to say hire veterans, and it makes sense that they're going to be disciplined and that kind of thing, but you still feel that way, is that right? You feel like sometimes employers don't want to.
Yes, because when I first got out the Army and I went for a job to be a medical assistant, it was really hard for me to get, and I don't even have any tattoos that show anywhere, but just once they said, what's your prior, and I said I was a combat medic, you know, and I have experience, and as soon as I mentioned that, they looked at me and said, you were in combat. And I said, right, I am combat medic. They pushed the paper to the side, and I never got a call back again.
And you think it's because of that?
I believe so, yes.
And so what do you see when you're helping write these resumes? Is that something you see a lot, or what do you see?
I haven't seen that, but what I do see with the resume process, and also with the interviewing and job process, for a lot of veterans, they have never had to make a resume because the military has been their life. And so making a resume from scratch can be very overwhelming. And so I try to make the process as easy as possible. And so one thing that I do is I won't write the resume for the veteran. I have a whole process where I will help them come up with lists and charts, and then we'll take a template and start plugging it in. But it's very important that the veteran writes the resume, because when he or she is finished, there's such a sense of accomplishment. And if I were to just go in and write the resume, it would totally take away that sense of accomplishment.
I'm sure that's true. And once it's written, are you seeing a lot get hired, or what are you seeing there as far as the job market?
I do see a lot get hired, and a lot of the veterans I start helping a lot of times, again, are very depressed. They're feeling very down, and so a lot of what I do is I do mock interviews and just kind of going over the whole interview process and helping them with giving off a sense of feeling positive. So that's a really important part of the process.
And I want to go back. I think we might have some pictures. I want to go back about how you got involved in this from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And it was at that hospital, Walter Reed, right?
Yes, sir.
But okay, so we have some pictures here. Let's just go through what we're looking at here.
Yes, so this goes back to, let's see, this was 2004, and this was my very first time visiting Walter Reed Army Medical Center. This soldier lost his arm, and he is the first soldier I ever peer visited. So I went in and talked to him. He had lost his arm in Iraq, and I went in there, and he knew that I was born with one arm, and so he had a lot of questions to ask me about what he was going to face in the coming weeks with doctor's appointments and a lot of times if you've had a limb amputated, you face several months of surgeries. They have to operate on the residual limb area due to recurring infections. And there's also something called a blastula where the bone grows into the joint, very painful. So when you've lost a limb, it's not just a one-time appointment. It is months and months and years of appointment. So he had a lot of questions about what he was going to face. And so that right there is where it all began.
Wow. And have you been able to keep up with him? I mean, do you have any idea what has happened over the years?
I'm not in touch with him. A lot of the patients that I did visit, a lot of them I do keep in touch with, but I'm not in touch with him right now.
And how did you get to walk in that hospital in the first place? And I don't know if we have more pictures. If we do, we'll kind of go through them. But how did you?
Some more pictures.
How did you get to go in there? Okay, what are we looking at here?
This was actually on a kayaking trip through Walter Reed Army Medical Center. The gentleman on the right is a veteran who lost both of his legs, and then the gentleman on the left, his name is Willie. He actually is not a veteran, but he lost his arm, and he is the first person to ever amputee to kayak the Colorado River. He had just kayaked the Colorado River with one arm, and we went on a kayaking trip, and he was teaching the amputees how to kayak. So we had a great time.
That is great.
Yeah. And this is one of my favorite pictures I took during my time at Walter Reed. The gentleman walking down the hill is a triple amputee, and then the gentleman in the wheelchair is also triple amputee, lost both legs and his arm. So both soldiers here have identical injuries. However, they are at completely different stages in their recovery. As you can see, the soldier walking down the hill is just learning how to walk, and the soldier in the wheelchair will be learning how to walk down the hill probably a couple weeks from when that picture was taken. He was waiting for his prosthetic limbs to be made. So I love this picture because it's like he's looking at where he will be in a few weeks. It's a really powerful moment.
He's looking at his future there.
Mm-hmm.
And how hard was that for you to go there and to see so many people injured? How hard was that?
I think that the hardest part for me was, I think, seeing them in so much pain. It's like I'm a problem solver, and so that was the hardest thing for me. Was sometimes when I would go there 3 times a week to counsel patients, and sometimes they were in such excruciating pain, and that was really hard to see because I just wanted to solve the problem and take that away.
And how did you get to be, what is it, a peer counselor?
A peer visitor.
Peer visitor. How did you get to be that?
I actually just started calling Walter Reed Army. I just cold called them, and I just said, I was born with one arm, and I really feel like I could help these soldiers, and I really didn't get an answer about whether or not I could go there. Took months and months, and finally I was in DC anyway for an interview for an internship, and when I called Walter Reed, I said, well, I'm actually here in DC, and they said, can you be here tomorrow? So I tell people all the time that if there's something that you want to do and you're not getting the answer you want, don't be afraid to get on a plane and just show up and call and say, you know what, I'm here. So it was interesting. Once I said I'm here in DC, they said, okay, can you come here tomorrow? And that's when it all began. And
is that a program, or is that something that you just created?
No, it's a formal program at Walter Reed. They train amputees to become counselors and go into the hospital 2 to 3 times a week and counsel the patients with limb loss. So it's a wonderful program. During my time there was one of the peer visitors fought in Vietnam. He was a double below knee amputee. There was another veteran who fought in Korea. So it's a very well-run program because there's amputees all different ages, all different stories, and so we really can help all the different patients because we all have different backgrounds.
All right, we're going to take a break, and then we will come back. Maybe we have more pictures. If you want to call, there's the number 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.